Last spring, we had our women's retreat. It started on a Thursday night, and I was scheduled to give the first talk at 6:30, which would be fine. I have our daily mass here every Thursday evening at 5:30. Usually ends a little bit before 6. And the retreat was being held in Grancato, so if you know how that is. That's just about 15 minutes up north. And so it would have worked out perfectly for me to get there and start my talk. But as I finished Mass, I was just not satisfied with the talk that I had prepared. So I was trying to think in my head how I can make it better, and I'm just a little distracted as I'm mulling this over and trying to come up with a solution. What can I do to make this talk better and ready for the retreat? So I'm spending a lot of mental energy on this as I'm driving to the retreat. And I'm driving and thinking and driving and thinking, and also greatly aware that there's just not a lot of time. I'm kind of at a pinch, and so it's becoming, it's 6:10, 6:15, it's 6:20, and I'm wondering why I'm not there yet. And then suddenly it dawns on me that I'm currently in Rayne, Louisiana. And if you're from around here, that's west, not north. And so I drove 20 minutes or so on the interstate without even realizing that I was not going in the right direction. I was just getting frustrated, like, why is the exit not coming up soon? And so suddenly it dawned on me. And it's amazing how easy it is whenever we're driving, especially if we're distracted. And, to be fair, I wasn't looking at my phone. I wasn't distracted like that. I was just mentally not present. I was mentally distracted. And so although I was awake physically, I was not aware mentally and emotionally. And I was late for the retreat. So it all turned out okay. But it's amazing how often or how easy it is for us to kind of fall into a similar trap. And I use that analogy because that's basically the analogy we can see all the time in the spiritual life, because distractions in our life dull the soul. It dulls us. We get all distracted by whatever is going on in our life. And we're just suddenly we realize that we just have not been spiritually present to the Lord. Perhaps also we haven't been, emotionally present to the people around us. We've just kind of been scattered and distracted and lost in our worries. And it's not just distractions that kind of take us off course. I think busyness is a very similar one. Busyness tends to really wear us out. We get really worn out and tired. And that has similar effects on our spiritual life. But to keep with the driving analogy, hypothetically, imagine, driving on a long road trip, midsummer. The sun is beaming. You've been driving for hours. You already stopped at Buc-ee's, and you keep on driving, and you think you're good until all of a sudden you just kind of jolt, and you realized that you fell asleep. It's like a little micro sleep at the wheel, and it was just a split second enough to just be asleep and then to scare you enough to wake up. And then suddenly it gets real. Like, now my weariness has become dangerous. A lot more tired than you thought you were. And I think a similar thing can happen in the spiritual life. Whenever sometimes we get so busy with our life, we do get fatigued and tired, and that's just part of being human. But if we don't sufficiently address that weariness and bring that to the Lord and use our Sundays as days of rest, then we fall asleep at the wheel in the spiritual life, and potentially could be dangerous enough for us to crash in the spiritual life. So all those analogies are here just to serve as your annual Advent homily reminder. We're just going to keep it simple today. Advent's quick, y'all. Every year it's quick. You blink, it's over. And every year I feel like it's so easy to just kind of be like, oh yeah, Advent, Advent. And then, you move on with your week. And then week 2 of Advent, it's like, oh yeah, it's Advent. I need to do something for Advent. And then guess what? It's like almost halfway over by then. So my encouragement for all of us, very simply, is for each of us to decide on one thing to do that's going to be daily. What can you do for 24 days? A small something that will make you more spiritually present. So for most of you, I think the easiest thing to do, the easiest kind of daily thing that we could probably do is some form of daily Advent meditation. We have our Advent devotional books at the doors, made by Magnificat this year. They're very good, short and sweet, to the point, but a good daily something. So that's what I encourage most of you to do. Or if you have the Hallow app, that always has good Advent content. They have a little daily meditation as well. If you don't want to be so formal, maybe just some kind of spiritual commitment, like a daily rosary or a daily decade of the rosary or something like that. All right. Or maybe a daily penance, if you really want to get fancy this year. Usually the best penances these days are taking away screen time. So maybe delete a social media app or 2 or 3 or all of them for 24 days. Or maybe commit to no television for 24 days or something like that. Maybe no music in the car for 24 days. Or maybe you need give up coffee or something. Or the third option, especially if you have a family that you live with in your residence. What about returning to the family meal? I don't know, but I would just imagine that most families, even good families, probably got away from the family meal. So what if we did that for Advent? Every weeknight for Advent, it's 3.5 weeks. Or every weeknight that you're home and not, doing a Christmas party or something. You'll commit to a family meal. Or a family prayer, like get an Advent wreath and say, I don't know, some kind of family prayer before bed. But some type of family experience for 24 days, I think could really transform your culture. Or maybe as a family, no screens after, I don't know, 7 p.m. or something. So anyway, it doesn't matter what it is. Choose one, keep it simple. But my encouragement is to choose before bed tonight. Because if you don't choose before you fall asleep tonight, chances are you'll be here next Sunday and you'll suddenly remember that it's Advent. And we don't want to miss out on this because we're going to fall asleep at the wheel again. We've been falling asleep too much. We've been going through the motions and getting distracted. It's just part of our experience. But Advent's kind of that spiritual alarm clock so that we can wake up again and be aware and be ready for Christmas soon. Amen. Hey guys, thanks again for listening to our podcast. Don't forget to click the links below to learn more about our mission. Thanks.